It was a very different situation than I've ever been in my entire life, but it all started with a sign.
To give credit, it was all Matt's idea for that sign. He is totally 100% his choice.
Well, when I first saw the sign, I didn't get it at first because I wasn't quite reading it right.
Yes.
But then once I finally got it, I was like, that's pretty clever.
I had to read it a couple times. I said, what is this? It was kind of a moment of shock, kind of surreal, but I mean, that's what this entire thing is. It's so surreal.
We'd been friendly through the whole year, and then or the semester, and then when him and his friends decided that they were going to camp out for the Baylor game, he invited me, and then I went over with them and hung out with them for the night.
And a few days before, we went to Walmart to buy a bunch of supplies, and we weren't sure if we were going to camp out and whatnot. And sure enough, when we get to Walmart, I see this tent that says it sleeps 12 people. I was like, there's probably going to be about 12 of us out there.
Me and my friend named Chase, we went to Walmart and got my poster supplies. We got a tent. We got sleeping bags. And little did we know, what the signs were going to make. Besides me, I had the sign in the back of my mind. I wasn't going to tell anybody yet. I kind of kept it very close to the chest.
That night, we went to my dorm room in the lounge, and we were making our signs. And Matt found the sign that on the inside, like it had folds, and so you could write on the inside and then fold over it.
Secret sign.
Exactly. He had it hidden perfectly.
I knew the idea that I had was going to be very derogatory and wasn't going to be allowed. You can close it and you can kind of hide it, and you can put two signs on the front, one sign on the back to kind of distract, the sensors that the ESPN people have to distract what's really on the inside.
Did you think you guys would get caught with the sign?
Yes, I did.
So me and my friend Chase, we went into the dorms. I started writing my sign, and I wrote in big colors, "Baylor's defense has more holes to fill than Lisa Ann." Little did I know how explosive that the sign would be and how it would spread like wildfire across social media.
What was the temperature? What month was this?
This had to have been late, like November.
We camped out for 24 hours. This is November in Stillwater. This is arguably one of the coldest nights we had all semester, maybe even all year long, talking about 10 degrees.
You should have been in Stillwater yesterday if you wanted to see some serious wintry conditions.
As a freshman, thinking, oh my God, could you imagine if she actually saw it? That's literally the limit of my expectations was, could you imagine if she saw it? I just knew that I'm going to get this sign on the television.
We figured that out about 16 years ago, or when he was in Florida.
Little did I know, at that point, for 2.5 hours, that I stuck that sign behind Chris Fowler's head, and I stuck it wherever I could, that it would create such a booming, friendship or legacy that I am now involved in.
Like this, if I bring him in and I take him for a ride in my car, yeah, I got his full attention in that car.
And finally, with about 45 minutes left of my life expectancy for my sign, Deadspin posted something with all the signs, and they're like, "Look at this kid. Look at this sign. Wow, why isn't anybody, posting about this?"
He made it a pretty good ways into the show. Like I said, he did a good job of putting it up when it needed to be up and could be seen on TV, and then taking it down when, it wasn't going to be seen.
Saturday night came, however, and arguably that might have been the greatest point of that Saturday. Not getting on Deadspin, not getting the sign in, but the fact that we destroyed Baylor 49-17.
You meet up later. The next day, he looks at you and he says, "Lisa Ann just hit me on DM on Twitter." What did you think when you heard that I reached out to Matt?
I was like, first thing I said in my head, I was like, "You're bullshitting."
I was like, no way. There's no way.
Twitter, we were all very shocked, and we were like, there's no way. We thought he was lying at first. We were like, be quiet, man. Like, you're joking.
When he said that you found him, it was kind of like an oh shit moment.
Sunday happens, they're like, "Oh wow, such a great game." We all slept into like 3 because we were just exhausted. And I ate dinner with my roommate, Michael Potts, and I see a badge come up on my phone from Twitter, and it says, "The real Lisa Ann mentioned McGann Man 11." The first thought, I was like, oh no. Not even on like, oh my gosh, you saw it, I was like, oh no. What could possibly, oh no. Like, it was more mystery and kind of, what could possibly come from this.
And he showed us his phone. It said the release Ann had followed him. I was like, oh my God.
And then I looked at it and I was like, let's go.
I opened the Twitter message and it's like, yo, what up, boy? Now following. And at this point, I'm like, play it cool. Play it cool. Don't fangirl. Don't be like, oh my God, Lisa, hi, can I have your number? Like, just be respectful. Be the way your parents have taught you.
So we take it from me introducing myself to Matt by DM and realizing like we're going to go pretty far with this. This story has started to spread. It's been on TMZ. It's been on Deadspin. It's all over Twitter. And I realized like this could be a lot of fun.
It's my first time talking to, an attractive, woman with this much power. So, I'm sending her DMs with emojis and then afterward I'm like, oh, you nerd, why are you sending that?
And this could be fun for me at the perfect time. I was planning on who my date was going to be for AVN.
One of my friends is over, a friend I haven't seen in a long time. And I'm like, hey, Lisa, just DM me. He's like, no way. And I was like, I'm doing a TMZ call at 4.
I asked Matt to go with me to the AVN Awards via Skype on TMZ Live.
You never know. I shout out to this kid. He is a pimp and a man after my own heart. That is a great thing right there. To be able to go to AVNs with Lisa Ann, that's amazing.
Hey, Matt, will you be my date for the AVN Awards this year in Las Vegas? My company, Fleshlight, and my production company would like to accommodate you, fly you out to Vegas, show you around, and take you as my date for the awards show. Will you do that with me?
Absolutely.
Oh,
wow.
Shockingly, he says absolutely.
I hung up the phone and I brought my parents. We had this ledge in my house and I was like, I'm going to Vegas with Lisa as her date for the AVN Awards. And they're like, my parents are just dying laughing. They're like, oh my God, no way. You're kidding me.
Hey, Matt, will you be my date for the AVN Awards this year in Las Vegas? My company, Fleshlight, and my production company would like to accommodate you, fly you out to Vegas, show you around, and take you as my date for the awards show. Will you do that with me?
Absolutely.
Oh,
That makes it. Woo, you're my hero, man.
In my mind, I was like, oh my God, this is only going to get bigger.
I think I DM'd Matt saying, hey, I want to write this article about what happened, what's going to happen. I remember when I emailed, because this is the first and only article I've ever written for the O'Colly.
Wow, one and only, get it done.
Yes.
Then we take it one step further, and Matt's getting ready to go on this trip to Vegas. What were your thoughts when he was leaving? Like, this is crazy, I hope you're okay, or did you already have a good feeling about it?
I had a pretty good feeling. I did kind of look down on him a little bit because he asked me to tie his tie for him.
So I get to Vegas, and one of the Fleshlight, which is a company that Lisa, works with, one of the people came up to me and was like, hey, are you Matt? And I was like, yeah, got a taxi there.
Meeting him for the first time, and at that time I was a little bit busier. I was still signing and doing a lot of things, a lot of different events, so I didn't have as much freedom.
I'm 18 at this point. As a college freshman, 18, just got out of high school, just got out of my parents' little bubble by myself. I'm in Vegas by myself. I mean, this is like the equivalent of being in New York City by yourself. Like, this is Sin City, and you're going on a date with the #1 adult film actress in the entire globe. This is ridiculous. And I'm thinking this as, I'm waving through the Hard Rock, and I see Lisa. She doesn't see me yet, but I see Lisa, and I'm like, at that point, everything just flushes out of my system. I'm just calm, and I'm like, here we go.
Okay, here we are, AVN 2014 with the lovely Lisa Ann and her date, Matt. Can you tell us a little bit about how you guys met?
Well, Matt's a very creative individual. He made an incredible sign for a football game that was on College Gameday, and it just so happened I realized my name was on that sign.
It was really neat, and I got to, hang out with her, and she's like, okay, go get ready, and I, showered, got ready, had my, stuff, and then I ran into problems. Ran into probably the biggest problem for a guy. I went and I was zipping up my zipper, and I zipped it, and it wouldn't zip, it got caught on something. So as a man, you're not gonna be like, oh, let me technically get this out. I ripped it, and I ripped it off. My fly was open. For the red carpet, for everything to see. And I'm like, oh my God, this would happen. And I find safety pins. I find like 6 of them. And I safety pin the little crotch area together. And for the whole night, I had safety needles poking my junk.
We are with Lisa and her date.
Here we are. Matt's really impressing me. He looks good. He tied a tie. It's not a clip-on. I checked. I think it's going to be a fun night.
Did you have to tape it down for this, or how did you mentally prepare?
I know it took weeks and weeks of preparation.
The red carpet was hilarious because Matt had a lot of really good commentary. And as you'll see from some of the interviews that we did on the red carpet and for Fleshlight, you can see that Matt already has a very comfortable mind in front of the camera.
Best people watching ever.
I agree, and this is a whole new culture for me that I can just watch and just see how people, act and react. It's neat.
I'm going to tell a couple people that don't know that he's a new performer.
Nice. Yes, here we are with the new performer.
I'm a new performer.
Don't make fun of me.
He's very aware. He knows his sense of humor and his range. And I was really comfortable walking the red carpet with him and thinking, this is a total stranger who I've bonded with of this really creative way. Everyone that's interviewing us knows who he is, even though they haven't met him, because they've read this great story.
How cool is Lisa Ann in person?
She's all right. I mean, she's pretty cool, I guess. Honestly, one of the most nerve-wracking parts was taking a selfie from my mom. I was like, I have to. She's like, yeah, absolutely. Because I don't know if she would be like, no, don't take any pictures. She would bring me in every single interview. And I can't tell you how blessed and how amazing that was, because with each one, I got more and more comfortable with Lisa and the atmosphere that I was in.
Love those socks, though. They're really doing it for me.
Those are some nice socks, dude.
Those are some fly-ass socks, man.
It was perfect because I knew that if you get to red carpet early enough, you actually have a couple hours to kill before the awards start, and that's usually when everyone gets hammered. So instead of getting hammered, we went to the steakhouse and we had a beautiful dinner and we ate together and got to know each other a little bit more. And as this trip is growing, I'm seeing Matt as a future long-term friend, almost like a younger brother. We've bonded on this really cool, hey, we're just cool with each other.
And I was like, what phone is that? She's like, that's my personal phone. So I was like, put my number in it. And she's like, okay. So that's kind of when we just, finally connected all the dots and we're like, okay, this is the relationship where we want to go with it.
That first trip was so rushed and it was never enough, and I really wanted to get to know him more, and I knew right away that we would just stay in touch and I would watch him grow through school, hopefully eventually get to come and meet all of his friends.
That first trip we didn't really get to connect as much. We just had dinner and kind of, awards, got to show you my world, and then it was a quick 24 hours because I flew in Saturday, flew out Sunday.
The start of the first time we met was really, really special.
After that, I mean, we just stayed in constant contact, and whenever she was having a bad day, I would text her, hey, keep your head up.
And I'd look down and there'd be a beautiful message filled with emojis and love in my phone that would somehow take me from a place of feeling so confused and annoyed to being like, you know what, it is all right. And I thought, this is really interesting. This is a stranger to me, and I have known people for 10 years or longer that aren't being as kind, but he is reaching out.
And before those kind of in between that relationship that I had, I went through a big media explosion. I had 11 interviews in 3 days. And I had all these contacts in my phone saying, hey, look, I know you're in sports media. If you need an internship, let me know. This is awesome. You're so cool. And I'm like, oh my God, Lisa just blew up my world for me. This is ridiculous. The award show, oh my God, that's so cool, was on Total Frat Move, Deadspin, Bro Bible, CBS Sports, Fox Sports, Bleacher Report, blowing up. She exposed me to everybody, and all I had to do was just talk and be me.
So as the year progressed, and I started to think, well, I guess this is going to be my last AVN, because I was starting to plan my retirement.
October of my sophomore year, I was in one of my government classes with Max, actually.
I knew I wanted to announce my retirement in December, have a little bit of time before the holidays, and make that my last AVN.
And she texted me, she's like, round 2?
And of course, I texted Matt in October-ish and said, hey, round 2.
It all leads up to, round 2, obviously. And we hang out, and it's so much different. I mean, it's much more, hey, what's up? Instead of, just the awkward, kind of hey, nice to meet you. It's more like, what's up? And though I really enjoyed that. From there, we went to, it was a much different experience. I was in front of the camera this time, kind of interviewing people with Lisa. And that was very entertaining. I really enjoyed that, getting to meet all these random people and getting to meet these stars that, of course, as a teenage, guy, you watch.
This time it was a little bit different. my life was ever so changing after I retired, so I decided I wasn't going to go to the awards at all. I was just going to do a couple interviews on red carpet, so I still had the excuse to bring Matt. But after we did the couple interviews, we were just going to change, put on regular clothes, and go. We ended up going to a buffet because I thought college student buffet, he can have whatever he wants and as much of it.
And that was really neat getting to experience her world for the second time, but then everything changed when we went to dinner. Everything changed in the aspect of where I got to know her. Like I knew what she was about, but I didn't know the core of Lisa Ann. And I love that more than anything in the whole trip. It was fantastic. We talked about random stuff. We talked about sports. Of course, we're going to talk about sports. She's a sports junkie. I'm a sports junkie. We're all sports junkies. But I got to talk to Lisa with, my family.
I knew once I retired, I was going to start giving more of my time to my family and friends. So I committed to making time to come into Matt's world and seeing his culture at school this year.
Whenever I left Vegas that day, and everyone's like, how was it? I was like, you know what? It was very personal. It was really cool. And then she mentioned, she's like, you know what? I might come to Stillwater.
I started to really look around at what I collected in the time that I was in the business that mattered. And those were all relationships, and one of those relationships was Matt's. So it was important for me to share this experience with his friends and come to Stillwater and for us all to get to know each other. I want to know from you, what was your perception of a porn star before Matt came back and gave you the report card on what type of person I was?
I honestly wasn't sure what to expect. I grew up in a small town, so the thing I kind of related it to was like the teachers. You always assume that like teachers like are just like perfect and they don't do anything wrong. And then when you see them out in public, when you get older after you graduate and stuff, that's kind of how like I kind of related it, except for like the opposite, like you'd been on camera and stuff, but I figured after you were done that you lived like a regular life like everybody else.
How different am I than you expected me to be before you met me?
Well, I mean, I didn't realize you'd be as cool as you are, and you know sports better than, anybody that I've talked to, which is kind of surprising. You said something interesting the other day, like you don't picture Kobe Bryant at the dentist, you picture him on a basketball court. I don't necessarily picture you knowing all that you know about sports, but getting to know you has really showed me a different side of you that I don't think a lot of people know about.
After all this is said and done, I'm finally coming here. And I'm wondering, what's different about how you view me now as opposed to when this all started or even before Matt started this?
Definitely, honestly, the first time I heard your voice and the first time I saw how tall you were, I was kind of floored because I've only ever heard your stage voice and you always look much taller in videos.
I think it's magical that we're all right here because of Matt, because of Matt's creativity, because of me being open-minded.
The fact that you are an actual sports fan and that's what drew you here is absolutely perfect because we're all huge sports fanatics ourselves.
I got to see the culture. I got to see everybody, within the industry. I got to see that these people were actually human beings. They're not just people you watch and then turn off 30 minutes at a time. These are human beings. And I got that really quick. I didn't judge them as soon as I got there. I had to observe before I was able to soak in all the information. And I feel like that's one of the biggest, problems with everything is that people assume way too much just because of what line of work they're in or who they are. Lisa just gave me the greatest opportunity of all time. And it was incredible because she cared. And that as soon as I knew she cared, I was like, this woman's going to stay in my life. From the tweets, to the newspaper article, to the DMs, this experience has been, indescribable.
And take you as my date to the awards show. Will you do that with me?
Absolutely.
Whenever she invited me on TMZ as a young college freshman and making memories that will last forever, she has been so incredibly nice. And we have clicked ever since the first time we've met. To Vegas itself, to being able to witness a new culture for the first time was absolutely the most amazing experience I've ever gone through as a man and as a human being. And that she has opened so many doors for me and that she really let my experiences come to life. And I only have Lisa to thank for that. She went out of her way to this stranger, to this young kid, to reach out And little did she know that she found a great friend in the process. And then finally, she visited Stillwater, and I showed her my life for the first time. Lisa has shown all of us here at Stillwater that you should never judge anybody by the profession or anything that they do. It may have started with a sign, but I don't believe it'll end there.